Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be doing a questions and answers video. If you don't follow me on Twitter and Instagram, you definitely should because that's where I ask for questions. And I have a question today that is going to be like the question of the night, where I would love to have any comments or concerns or opinions on it in the comments below, because every time I do have like one question that is asked that I don't necessarily have the only answers to. Like, I can only give answers that are from my own personal experience, and this one question is definitely something where I think a lot of people would have different opinions and experience with it, and I think it could be really helpful to other people watching these videos if they could read in the comments some really thoughtful and cool advice given by the viewers. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in. I will tell you what the question of the video is when I get to it. So the first question comes from Charlotte. She says, when is the last time you cried? And the last time I cried would have been last night. I don't cry often per se, but I have been both blessed and cursed with a very, very sensitive heart. When I feel for someone and I care about someone, I can put myself in their shoes. I feel for them and I understand when they're upset or things are tough. And last night a friend of mine was dealing with some kind of difficult stuff, and it made me upset because I understood how hard it must be for them and how they must be feeling at this moment, and so I cried. And like I said, you know, it's both a blessing and a curse, but much more I think a blessing because I'm able to feel for people. And even though sometimes, you know, it makes me a little sensitive, gets me into trouble sometimes, I would much rather be a sensitive, kind person than someone that was not sensitive and not thoughtful towards others. Amanda says, top 3 celebrity crushes, and I have to think about this for a second. I would say off the top of my head, Miles Teller. I've said that one before. He's so adorable and I love his acting. I think he's just so cute, but he does such a good job just entertaining you, but also coming across very real and relatable. I would also say Heath Ledger. I think he was so attractive and again, a very, very talented actor. And I would also say Taylor Kitsch from Friday Night Lights. I'm kind of having like a long hair thing right now. Kind of a little bit of a trend. Kayla says biggest flaws. Now I think she's asking like what are my biggest flaws. Personality wise, I would say a flaw would be I'm an overthinker. I definitely think about things a lot, maybe too much, and I kind of think problems into reality when there may not be an actual problem, but I kind of create one in my mind. Like I said, I'm very sensitive, so I take things kind of personally when sometimes they're not meant to be personally or they're not meant to be hurtful or whatever. I can kind of make it into something more than it is. Another flaw of my personality would be I'm very shy and cautious, so I need to work on being a little bit more spontaneous, kind of doing things without a lot of you know, preparation and thought, not to like a dangerous degree, but just, you know, being a little bit more open to letting things flow. Oh, and by the way, my hair, I feel like people are probably going to ask about it. I just slept in some braids and this is the outcome, which is so nice because I've been trying to use less heat on my hair, especially now in the summer, so now I have a way to get nice loose waves by just braiding my hair at night before I go to bed. As far as physical flaws, I would say the only thing that I really struggle with a lot would be just my body and my weight, and I think that's very common for a lot of girls. I have dealt with, you know, weight issues pretty much my whole life. I have just felt, you know, I've always been, you know, trying to lose weight or focusing on my weight or whatever, and I don't know, it's not to say that I think I need to or anything like that. It's more just a personal thing with being comfortable with it and comfortable with my own body. My dogs are freaking out a little bit. But on that, you know, with being on YouTube and subjecting myself to being publicly seen and stuff, you know, on the gossip sites, people will write comments like, oh, she looks like she gained weight, she looks like she lost weight, whatever. And it makes me wonder if these people honestly were not raised with the mindset of it's so, like, not polite to say that kind of stuff. It's also very hurtful, I think, when weight in someone's body is so personal, especially to girls. Like, I don't understand the people that think it's their right or their job to police people's appearances. Like, it makes no sense to me, because in real life you would never go up to someone and be like, whoa, you look like you gained some weight, or whoa, you look like you know, you look a lot thinner, you look really gross, like whatever. Like, you would never do that. So my only thought can be maybe these people don't socially interact with people on a daily basis, or they somehow do think it's their business to discuss this. I have no idea. But from that, definitely, I would say that had definitely affected me, and it definitely had made me more insecure and just given me a little bit more trouble And thankfully now I'm at the point where I'm strong enough to know who I am and what I want to be and what I want to work on. But a lot of young girls aren't. So just be kind, you know, to other people, because now that I can deal with it, I am proud of that, but I know that some other people can't. So just keep that in mind when you are commenting on other people's appearances and stuff, because we don't need that, you know. It's just, if it hurts someone's feelings, it's really not needed. Moving on to relationship deal breakers from Caitlin. I would say the biggest relationship deal breaker would be someone who just doesn't have much motivation or a plan for their life. Not to say you have to like know what you want to do with your life. I'm still in the phases of trying to decide, you know, what my passion is and what I really want to pursue in life and what I really have a drive to do. But in a relationship, if there's someone that just doesn't really care, or they don't really have any plans or any desires or any passions, or they just have no, I guess, motivation to figure out what they like or to figure out what's important to them, that would definitely be a relationship deal breaker. I know I had spoken to one guy one time, and he said something to the effect of his parents were really wealthy, and so he was going to inherit all of their money. And so with that, he kind of basically said he didn't really need to care about getting a job or worry about that or anything, because he was going to be rich no matter what, because his parents had a ton of money and he would just get that and not really have to do anything. And he kind of said it in a way of like, you know, I'm so lucky, like I don't have to plan like that, I don't have to have any true aspirations because I'll have money and that's all I need. And that was definitely a very big turnoff, only in the fact that I would like someone that does have something that excites them or that makes them feel like life is worth living and life is worth pursuing and doing, not only in a money aspect, if that makes sense. Like just the fact that he was getting money doesn't fill like my need for someone to have goals and plans, if that makes sense. Marie says, can we see your tattoo? And yes, here it is. So it's a very small heart. As far as getting other tattoos, I have plans to get one more. I'm not going to share that because I'm not sure if it'll happen or what I'm going to do, but we'll just see how that goes. And yes, when people were saying like, why were you scared to get it? Why did you say, you know, it didn't hurt? Like all this stuff. Well, first of all, of course, I was very, very scared to get it. That is why I kind of put it off. And I don't know, I thought people would enjoy the experience of me showing how it was done and all that kind of stuff. And if you didn't, that's fine, but I'm glad I made that video, so. The next question comes from Andrea, and she says, sex on the first date, thoughts and opinions on this. And this is going to be the question of the video, so any like experiences or advice you have for Andrea, definitely leave it below in the comments, because I want my channel to be a safe place where people can come and ask questions that they're curious about and get a bunch of different opinions and advice from other people. So definitely go ahead and leave her some answers below. I'm going to just tell you what I personally think, but I am only one person, so I only have my own thoughts to give. I would say, as far as sex on the first date, now if you're saying like meeting someone for the first time, I've never been on a date where like I hadn't been speaking to them for a period of time before the date, if that makes sense. So I've never really had that first date experience where like you maybe have never met them before, or you've never talked to them or anything, and you go on this date and then you maybe hook up with them. I've never had that. Now I have heard stories of people who say, you know, we went on a first date, the chemistry was so intense, we slept together, and now we're in a relationship and whatever. And they figured that all out and it worked. I personally think that for myself, sexual compatibility and being attracted to someone is very important. I think you have to have that in a relationship that's going to last and be fulfilling. But in the same regard, I think there's a lot to be said for getting to know someone very well before you are sexually involved with them, for many reasons. Number one, you know, it's safe obviously to do that. But number two, for your own emotional benefit, I think it can be helpful. I think there may be times when you would be really physically attracted to someone early on in the beginning of a relationship, or the beginning stages of meeting someone, or in the beginning minutes of a date, to later find out things about them or characteristics in their personality that maybe are something you don't like or doesn't work with you well or whatever. And I feel like just adding in, you know, sexual stuff to that just makes it a lot more complicated. And I definitely can say that there have been times when I have learned something about someone or figured out something about them, or, you know, have been out with them and they've acted a certain way, that it just really did turn me off in a way that I was then kind of deciding that I didn't have the desire to be with them further in a physical way. I'm the type of person where I am all for girls doing whatever they want with their own bodies. You are in charge of your own, you know, sexual experiences and stuff. I'm not there to discriminate or tell you it's wrong or right or whatever. I think everyone should make their own decisions. I'm just personally not the type where just being physically attractive is not enough for me to want to be with someone physically, if that makes sense. I have to like you as a person. You know, I have to really feel something emotionally for you. And I think a lot of times that has to build over time, and that has to build with trusting someone and getting to know them, experiences, many more dates, talking, all that kind of stuff. So for me personally, I think sex on the first date, not to say that it's wrong, but it's definitely a risk of maybe not knowing someone well enough to be with them in that much of an intimate manner. And you know, it could work, but I think a lot of times maybe if you gave yourself more time, you would realize that wasn't really what you wanted to do, or maybe that wasn't the person that you wanted to do it with. So that's my thought on that. Again, I'm definitely welcome to any advice or comments below. I would love to hear the feedback on this because I think it's a very interesting question, especially with the world that we live in today. And Kendra's question is, are you happy in life? And this is where I'm going to end off the video. And I would say yes. Life is a little bit crazy for me right now. Definitely a bunch of changes and different stuff going on, but overall I'm happy because I am starting to really know myself as a person, really understand why I feel things, how I view things, you know, just understanding myself. And that's a beautiful thing, and that comes with growing up and experiences, good and bad, and just learning from them. So I would say I am very happy in life, and I am very appreciative of all of you guys watching my videos and supporting me. It does mean a lot to me, and I try so hard to be very open and honest with you guys, and you know, about good experiences and about tougher ones and things that aren't so good. And I hope that you guys appreciate that, and I hope that you guys watch me because you appreciate that and you recognize that and you realize that that is something kind of unique to my channel. But as it is unique to my channel, it is my favorite part of my channel, and I think the reason that I continue to make these videos. So I will see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed, and have a great night.